This is V2 of Tortuga's Pro, their travel backpack in 40 liters, and now they've introduced a 34 liter size, which I'm personally very, very excited for. I'm gonna get straight to the point. This is currently my favorite travel backpack, period, for one bag travel. On this video, I'm gonna talk about why that is, what's changed between V1 and V2, some of the subtle differences between the 34 and the 40 liter version. I'll pack both out so you can see what comfortably fits in each. I'll make recommendations on who would benefit more from going for the 40 liter versus the 34 and vice versa. And then I'll share some final thoughts, which will be just a TLDR of what I've talked about here. So let's get into it. Okay, so what's changed? Right now, the main compartment, you get 80% of the depth in there compared to 70%, so more usable volume. You now have two stacked mesh pockets on the left side. They refined the laptop sleeve, they removed the Velcro tab for it, and also there was a reverse zipper for the frame sheet that they also removed just to avoid any confusion. Beyond that, they eliminated the 4 or 5 or however many card-specific sleeves that were in the admin panel. The water bottle pockets are now using a really nice stretch mesh, which helps accommodate bigger bottles. They've beefed up the top and side handles. The frame sheet is now a little bit thicker, so it should be even more comfortable. And then just lastly, the hip belt should accommodate smaller waists. Now, the reasons for why on my next one bag travel trip, this is the bag I'm taking, is because of the comfort factor, the overall organizational layout, and then lastly, the shell fabric being eco-pack. And I'll explain why now. So I am recently indoctrinated into the world of Tortuga. I reviewed their super light recently and absolutely love that bag as well. I think it's really cool that you get now 3 different options depending on how minimal or also for how light you need your bag to be, while of course making some feature functionality compromises the lighter that you go. To me, the most important aspect of a travel backpack is the comfort, and I love the fact that Tortuga, like, this is what they do. They're hyper focused on just creating really well-made and incredibly comfortable travel backpacks. Their harness system feels like something that you would get in a backpacking backpack. Now, while the straps I wouldn't say are the chunkiest, beefiest I've come across, like the Fire Leva ones feel chunkier, but the combination of their straps, the harness system, the hip belt, the adjustability on the 40 liter of the harness frame makes this bag insanely comfortable. And I know for a lot of people, weight is super important. And I suspect for a lot of people, they're gonna be like, oh, but this backpack is a little too heavy. The 40 liter is 4.4 pounds, and then the 34 liter is 3.6 pounds. There's definitely a lot of lighter options out there, like their super light, which is 2.2 pounds. Their light 40 liter backpack is 3.5 pounds. So if you need something bigger and yet more lightweight, that is also a great option. That one's not gonna be fully waterproof. It comes with a 630D recycled nylon, but regardless of whatever Tortuga bag you go with, they're all gonna be incredibly comfortable. I have tried bags that are lighter than this, but the harness system just makes them feel heavier, the way it distributes the weight on your back, your shoulders. I'm really curious to try out their Daily Pro. I put Tortuga in the same like comfort tier as Air, Able Carry, and Firo. And specifically for a travel bag, this is the one that works best with my frame. I'm 5'8", 140 pounds, decently broad shoulders. Anyways, second thing that I really like about this bag, as much as I love the super light and how liberating it is because it's so minimal, I don't really need a lot of organization when it comes to a travel backpack. Anything that I want quick access to, that's where a sling comes into play. But I do find, as much as I want to be the person that's gonna take the super light on like a 2-3 week excursion, just all in all, the organizational layout of this guy ultimately checks off more boxes. You get 2 water bottle pockets instead of 1, which I only carry 1 water bottle, but just having another external place to like stash something is really nice. Having this vertical zip stash pocket where there's really no organization, but this is a perfect place to throw a tech pouch or over-the-ear headphones. I really like. Then you get quick access pocket here, which is fine. It's like, love that it's there. But I think more importantly, it's the combination of this front stash pocket and then this full length admin panel. Like for example, the Travel Pack 4, that's one of the things that I miss the most about the Travel Pack 3. And I've found that for a travel specific backpack like this, having this front admin panel full length, similar to the Levo as well, which funnily enough was one of my nitpicks with it at the time. And I think one of the main reasons for it is just because the Levo doesn't unzip as far. So it just feels like when you have it unzipped like this, yeah, I'm looking at it now, it's about that much. It just feels like harder to get to the bottom of it, whereas here, it's not. As you can see, they got rid of the card sleeves. You now have a more usable stretch mesh pocket. And then just the main compartment organization as well. Just having this layout where you have these two big pockets and then one big main compartment. I mean, as far as organizational layout goes and the way the laptop compartment is set up, where you get laptop sleeve, a tablet sleeve in front of it, and then just this bonus like mesh pouch where you can keep your cables. Like you really don't need a tech pouch with a bag like this. I wouldn't change a single thing. In the organization pocket department. And then the last thing that I love about this bag is the fact that they've committed to EcoPack as being the shell fabric. You don't have any other options in the Pro. Me personally, of the technical fabrics, X-Pack, Ultra, EcoPack is my favorite. It feels like a more subtle version of X-Pack. You don't get the crazy crinkling with Ultra that can be polarizing. The more I've used it, the more I've grown to appreciate it. But most importantly, it just has the most like natural hand feel. Don't get me wrong, it still feels like a technical fabric, but it just feels really good to the touch. And while EcoPack or any of those fabrics are overkill for a travel backpack, I still like having the peace of mind that it's super tough and it's very waterproof, because if all of my essentials are here while I'm traveling out and about, that's where I'm cool making a sacrifice and having PU coated zippers and a waterproof shell fabric like this, knowing that maybe longevity wise it's not gonna last as long as something like a traditional ballistic nylon, a non-laminate fabric. Okay, so my nitpicks are pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but here are my main ones. One is the lack of a luggage pass-through, and now this is less of a personal nitpick because transparently I couldn't care less if it had a luggage pass-through, but I'll explain why. I'll include it as a nitpick regardless. Secondly is I wish they used the same zipper pull setup from the 40 liter to the 34 liter. And then lastly, just the fact that you only get it in black, which is totally fine for a travel bag, but it's more of like a wish list. It would be cool to see this in a different color. Now for the luggage pass-through, when I reviewed the Superlight, a bag that is designed to be as lightweight and minimal as possible, I was like very surprised by how many people were like, oh, if this bag had a luggage pass-through, it would be a no-brainer. I had to ask a few people to like better understand like, why would someone carry a bag this big and have a suitcase? And I get it, like you might be traveling with a significant other, or you're traveling to places for very extended periods of time and you need to pair it with a suitcase. For my specific use cases and how I travel, I can't imagine that I'd run into a scenario where I would need a luggage pass-through. But with that being said, their Pro is like the most heavy and feature rich of their whole entire lineup. So I figure someone that would want more bells and whistles would want a luggage pass-through as an option. I wanna say that they've already talked about introducing luggage pass-throughs in the future, but at least these that I'm testing out don't have them. And being the more feature rich option, including one where it doesn't really add much to the weight, I don't think anyone's gonna complain about having a luggage pass-through, even the people that aren't gonna use it, so just giving people that option. Second thing is I have found that because the admin panel is pretty close to the main compartment zipper, I really like the zipper pulls that Tortuga uses, but on the 34 liter, you get the same exact ones, and it's fine, it's not a huge deal, and these can be replaced. The only thing is these are metal ones, so you'd have to break them off in order to replace them with something else. But on the 40 liter, they have in the admin panel, as well as like pretty much every other zipper that they use is the same one, but for the main compartment, they used heat shrink wrapped tubing just to create more differentiation between the main compartment and then the other admin panel zipper. So small thing, but they did it on the 40. I'm more of a 34 liter kind of guy. This is plenty big for what I would need. And yeah, it'd be nice to have that. And then the last thing, not a huge deal, I think for travel, having something a little bit more subtle or something that blends in everywhere like a black is great, but variety is the spice of life. I would imagine that this bag is already popular enough that they could introduce it in a second color, even just limited runs of it. So that would be the other thing that I'd like to see in there. So what is different between these two? Honestly, like the main two things are that on the 40 liter, you get the longer heat shrink wrapped zipper pulls in the main compartment, whereas here you get the same pulls. And then when it comes to the harness system, you have Velcro on the back of the 34 liter where you can stow away the straps. And then on the 40 liter, the straps are actually stitched into it, so you can't really stow away the straps. But in exchange, the frame, the back panel, is adjustable. So you can just get it really, really dialed in based off of your height. For me, the 34 liter as is, between the load lifters, the hip belt, I haven't felt the need to like further dial it in. But I think if anyone's like really short or super tall, then that might be a reason to get this. Although if you're really short, you might look even tinier with this massive turtle on your back. All right, this is the 34 liter. Quick walkthrough and I'll pack it out. But side handle, top handle, 2 stretch mesh water bottle pockets. On the back, incredible shoulder straps. The harness system is probably my favorite thing about this bag altogether. The straps themselves can be easily stowed away, which will make this easier to pack. So I'll just throw them in here. You have like a really strong Velcro also, just to make it easier to do that. And then here, these are removable, the little hip pack, but the nice thing about them is that they just, the way they don't like stay up like a lot of like traditional hiking bags, they just go down towards your waist and they're out of the way. Just so you can see the amount of padding here. No luggage passed through. And you've got load lifters up here, which for I think a 34 liter bag is a good shout that they included it. Back here, you've got your laptop compartment with this like really nice felt lined padded sleeve. They removed from V1 the little Velcro action. So let me just throw, this is a 14-inch MacBook Air. Fits comfortably in here. I believe you can fit up to a 16-inch. And then you get an additional sleeve in the front for a tablet or something else. And then you've also got a little like rear admin pocket. So if you don't want to bring a tech pouch, you can put your computer cables in there. Really nice chunky grab handles. And then you have a quick access pocket here in the front. Now, candidly, like typically when I'm traveling, I have like a bigger sling paired with a one bag travel backpack. So a lot of the things I'll put in here are things that I'd probably have in the sling just to have easy access to, but just so you can see what fits in here. This is like a mini fuel journal, fits perfectly in there. And then you've got an admin panel here, which is full length. So compared to the super light, I'd say, yeah, I think it's like super functional having that full vertical volume there. Let me throw a few things in here. So mobile battery bank. And then again, these are all things I'd have in a sling, but just so you can see what fits in there. AirPods, wallet, little Woven flashlight. And then you have another pouch here, which I would leave empty. And then one of the nice things about having this full admin panel is just like being able to throw something like a jacket down here. And then you get a vertical stash pocket here, which is nice if you want to access it while the bag is on you. This is where I'm throwing my Cap 1 tech pouch in there, and then let's get into the bag itself. Opens up sideways suitcase style. Another of the changes with V2 is that you now have about 80% of the volume is in the main compartment with 20% elsewhere, whereas before it was 70-30, so you just get more usable volume here. I've already packed this out, but here, this top one, great place for socks, underwear, what have you. I'll throw my toiletry bag here. And then these are like two pretty packed out packing cubes. This is like a week's worth of clothing with layers, and you still have a bit of room up here. So if you want to throw like sandals, you can absolutely do that. I would say if you're planning on taking an additional pair of shoes, you can make it work with this one as well. But for people that just like overpack, I think the 40 liter is going to be a solid choice. Depends how long you're going, how cold it's going to be. Personally, I think 34 liters is kind of like a really nice sweet spot for extended like 1 week plus travel trips. But as the main compartment gets filled up, of course, everything else gets tighter. So here where I have the tech pouch, it's not too tight, but any tighter, just so you can see over the ear headphones fitting in here. They also fit, but I would say like one or the other. Works, and that's it. Everything is the same. You just get 6 liters more, and so this is what that looks like with the same things in here. So throwing packable day pack, and then the 2 packing cubes. Typically with the 2 packing cubes, you're pretty full, but as you can see here, you have like more comfortable amount of space for extra shoes, which let me throw in there. And then I think like just opening it and closing it with the 34, with all that in there, it does feel kind of tight, whereas you can see here on the 40, it does it more effortlessly. Definitely a lot bigger, so I think anyone that has a smaller frame, you don't want to look like too much of a turtle. Yeah, that vertical volume weighs into it. So that's it. Final thoughts. This bag just checks off all of my key boxes for travel. Super comfortable, great materials, both on the outside and on the inside. A lot of flexibility in the way I can pack given how versatile the organizational layout is. Having this vertical front stash pocket, full-length admin panel that zips very far down, so it's easily accessible. The suitcase style opening with the 2 big pockets on the left side, the laptop compartment, and having dual stretch mesh water bottle pockets that I can use for water bottle plus umbrella, or just having an extra pocket just to stash things on the fly. Stands up on its own, even when it's empty, despite the fact that it uses PU coated zippers, like smooth zippers everywhere. Yeah, give it like a 9.2 Pilgrim Churn Butter zipper smoothness rating. In getting a travel backpack that has this feature set with EcoPack, which is like the black sheep of the technical fabrics for some reason, and yet is my favorite. For that matte look, the more natural hand feel, has all of the functional advantages of an X-Pack or an Ultra, while looking the least technical out of all of them. Yeah, I mean, this thing is incredible. So I'll be doing in the next month or 2 a list of my top 5 favorite travel backpacks, ranked and why, but spoiler alert, this guy is number 1 for me at the moment. Best of luck and cheers.